The following podcast is brought to you by the Ebb Tide Treatment Center. Many people wrestle with addiction. You don't have to. Reach out to the Ebb Tide Treatment Center, where they wish to empower each individual encountered with the support, hope, and tools required for long-term sobriety, priding themselves on providing the best possible treatment experience for you and your loved ones based on unique needs. They're committed to breaking the stigma that plagues those suffering with addiction and their families by educating and bringing awareness to the community. The Ebb Tide Treatment Center provides individual and group therapy, multiple recovery pathways for support, evidence-based clinical support, integrated aftercare social reintegration, personalized treatment planning, program addressing whole life health, and Vivitrol program, all available. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, reach out to them at ebbtidetc.com or call 844-430-4357. Welcome to another edition of AIW's The Card is going to change. Before we get into this week's episode, of course, always a shout out to our sponsors that help us bring this to you free in each and every week. First, thanks to Angelo's Pizza, who feeds all of you when you are at Mount Carmel and our live events. They also feed us here with the podcast. If you want to try anything other than their award-winning pizza, head to Angelo's on Madison Avenue in Lakewood, Ohio. Thank you also to Smart Mark Video, who is there recording all of our live events, no matter where they may be, so that you can go back and watch them or rewatch them if you were there live. For anything on DVD or a downloadable stream, head to smartmarkvideo.com. And if you want to go even further back in some AIW archives, make sure you grab a subscription to Powerbomb TV. Use the code ABSOLUTE, and you will get a 20-day free trial. And go back and just watch a lot of fun old AIW shows, along with some new ones on there as well. And finally, thanks to Jack Prince, who takes care of all of our printing and graphic design needs. They can do all of that for you and more. See what they have to offer. Head to jackprince.com.
That's JAKPrince.com.
That's right. That voice that you heard is none other than AIW owner John Thorne. My name is Steve Guy, your moderator of sorts. We may or may not be joined on this episode by other people chiming in throughout.
Pete's here.
Yo.
You're allowed to call him that because you've known him for over
I've just given up telling him not to.
Yeah. This episode, there were some people who were a little confused by the hashtag Ask Dookie Anything episode and submitted some questions for John Thorne, and then some other people wanted some topics covered that we've maybe never covered before, and that's what this episode is going to be dedicated to. Kind of a potpourri of sorts, I guess, if you will.
Potpourri? What is this, Jeopardy fucking section?
Yeah. Or cornucopia.
Potent potables.
Potent potables. An album cover.
A buffet of sorts, like Duke's Chinese buffet?
I'll take the rapists for 400, Alex.
Oh
I knew I could.
That's therapists?
That's therapist? I knew I could go into SNL quotes with the Duke for Jeopardy.
Well, he wanted to be his dream. That was his dream.
I know.
That was his dream, to be an improvisational actor.
I'll take the penis mightier. That's the pen is mightier. The Duke. There's a SNL sketch that the Duke would have been great for. Tom Hanks was in. It was called Black Jeopardy, and Tom Hanks was.
It is actually a great sketch because Steve Guy,
that sketch.
Not only is it funny, but it teaches us a lesson that we're all the same when we break it down. That's what it taught us.
It's great. I just imagined you as being the Tom Hanks character.
Thanks so much.
Well, I guess let's just lead off with this topic. There's a person people want to know about, a couple people want to know about, and you've got the answers, John Thorne. Can you speak to the short run in AIW of the man known as Ultramantis Black?
He's a very mysterious man.
Yeah.
Very, very mysterious man. Ultramantis Black was a guy that we wanted to book for years and years, and he's just like, he's a very hard guy to get a hold of. Like, you know, he just, like I said, he's a mysterious guy. He did just really just a lot of almost exclusive work with Chikara, so it was a very kind of hard thing to coordinate. Plus, you know, he's in bands and he does all kinds of stuff. So he was a very busy guy, and we finally, through, you know, LFC or Joe Sposto and, you know, the people at Smart Mark Video and all these different people, he finally agreed to come in for our iPay-per-view, which was Double Dare. It was the Double Dare iPay-per-view. Were you there for that, Duke? Was that
that was I was all over that thing because Nixon had like three matches.
Yeah. Okay, so he agreed to come in for that.
We don't talk about that.
Which initially, Ethan Page, this is when he first started experiencing trouble with the border, and he was the absolute champ at the time. And the initial plan was he was going to do an open challenge because we were having trouble advertising him because of the border. The border was very... The border is a very, very tricky thing when it comes to people entering the country that like to wrestle, because they view it as you're taking jobs away from Americans.
Yeah, we've covered that a few times. We've had quite the issue with people,
which is amazing to me. There's so many actual issues and things, and that's what they focus on. The Canadian border.
I guess what it really
can't go in, buddy. I mean, it's just weird.
I guess what it really boils down to is it just depends on the border person or whatever.
Yeah.
You know? So there had been a show, I believe it was Gleaming the Cube, maybe. Maybe not. No, it wasn't Gleaming the Cube. I don't know what happened, but
Dead Presidents? Oh no, that was after.
There was a show where Ethan Page, Josh Alexander, and Sleazy Sparks were turned away. Maybe it wasn't even for AIW. Maybe it was just another show. I don't know. But they were turned away at the border, and there was a lot of heat kind of coming down that they may not be able to enter the country again, which is eventually what happened to Sleazy Sparks.
Right.
Which is a big fear of these Canadian wrestlers or any wrestler entering the country is, you know, if you get the wrong border agent, they're going to stamp your passport with a 5 years do not enter, you know, so you cannot come to America for 5 years no matter what. So anyway, we wanted to do an open challenge with Ethan Page, and we were going to have a surprise person come in and beat him for the belt, you know, right off the bat. Initially, this was supposed to be Kimberly. Kimberly was supposed to be the one that was going to be unannounced and beat Ethan Page for the title, which at the time we thought was going to be like a very kind of progressive and shocking thing.
Sure.
We had a falling out with Kimberly before this could happen, so we need a new person to take the belt off of Ethan Page. We get Ultramantis to agree to come in, but we weren't gonna put the belt on him. We were just gonna do a match, you know, because he's very, like I said, he's very busy. He was a very hard person to get a hold of. So anyway, he gets there, and Mike Burns was there, and Mike Burns is saying, "You got to make him the champion. You got to make him the champion." And I said, "Yeah, I'll do it, but I don't think he will. He will do it." And it's Mike Burns was actually the one that totally facilitated Ultramantis Black becoming the AIW Absolute Champion. He was the one that pulled him aside and, told him how big it would be because it was an iPay-per-view. And at that time, you know, even then, iPay-per-view was already kind of becoming like a dead thing. You know, like the sales were down and everything. So we thought, okay, this is going to be a good way to go back to our original plan and, you know, end it with something shocking.
Yeah.
like I said, which the initial plan was going to be Kimberly, closing the pay-per-view, winning the AIW Absolute Championship. When she falls out, we were just going to have a match, just Ethan Page against anybody. It turns out to be Ultramantis Black. We weren't going to make him the champion. Mike Burns just the entire day is like, this needs to happen. This needs to happen. He's talking to Ultramantis Black. He's like, this needs to happen. This needs to happen. And he already knew, like, he couldn't even do the next show. Like he was not available for, I believe it was Hell on Earth was next, and he couldn't do it. But he was able to do.
Did 3, didn't he?
He was able to do Dead Presidents, I think. He did the December show. So it was, all right, we're going to get it off. We're going to put him on. We're going to put it on him, and then we're going to take it right off of him, because he didn't want to commit super long term to,
Yeah.
It worked though, because for what I remember, it got a pretty good surprise reaction.
Right, which was the plan that we were going for initially with the Kimberly plan. So and then Ultramantis, so he did like I said, I think he did 4 shows total. He did Double Dare, he did Dead Presidents, I believe, where he loses the belt, and then he did a J-Lit weekend after that. I recently met with Ultramantis Black.
Oh,
It's a little private meeting. We had a little private meeting.
So Ultramantis Black you have found again, but Mike Tolar, no clue.
I have found.
Maybe. I'm just going to throw this out there.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Maybe Mike Tolar is Ultramantis
That's what
Black.
I was thinking.
I'm just going to throw that out. Hey, henna. They don't keep, come on.
Be henna tattoo.
That's right. He's not covered in Japanese calligraphy for real, which would be cool as shit, by the way, if he was.
Lord Tensai.
I went to Denny's with Hakushi once.
I'm going to add to what we talked about in the last one. I would get in the ring with him because I fucking love Hakushi.
Hakushi?
I love Hakushi. Yeah.
Do you want me to email him? Would you
Sure.
Would you pay for bring him over instead of? He's probably cheaper than
I'm not
Hogan.
paying for anything.
He's cheaper
Stop
than
trying
Hogan.
to get your hands in my deep pockets.
He's probably cheaper than Hogan. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, gee, you think? Of course he is.
This guy's got a date coming up he needs to spend money on.
He's the president of Michinoku Pro right now, so I mean, he's probably doing pretty well.
Wow,
Probably.
yeah.
But so I've recently met with Ultramantis Black. All I could say is negotiations are ongoing. There's nothing.
You can neither confirm nor deny anything.
There's nothing set. There's been there's been a lot of talk. He is a big fan of the Weird World. As shocking as this may be.
Well, that's the other way around too, right?
Yeah, Weird Body has an Ultramantis Black tattoo. But he is a big fan of the Weird World, so much so that he purchases their merch. When Worldwide was trying to sell all of his belongings to fix his car and things like that, Ultramantis Black purchased quite a bit of Weird World merchandise. He's a big fan of them. So negotiations are ongoing. You could almost say the Weird World have reopened that door. Not that there was ever a falling out with Ultramantis Black at all. He just, he's a mysterious guy.
He really is.
But I was able to refine him.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just reliving. We're watching Survivor Series 88.
Where are you sitting here, dude?
My friend, what you saw Jumpa Jim Brazil throw his shirt into the crowd, my friend caught it and was waving it over his head. We were fifth row floor seats for Survivor Series 88. And
Where is this?
Richfield.
It is Richfield, right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
He took it off and threw it in the crowd, and the dude was waving over his head. I was like in the next seat over. So I was just marking out.
Does he still have the shirt?
I don't know if he put it on that night. I'm not sure if he still. We played football that morning, and he got hit in the eye, and he had a totally swollen shut eye. He was wearing sunglasses. I don't know if he was wearing. If he still has it, but he was.
I don't
He
know why I
did put
asked
it on.
where this was, but 4-year-old Steve Guy is also at this show, but in the upper level.
Yeah, we're fifth row heel side on the floor.
I was probably not here. I would say that. I went to some house shows.
And it was
Richfield Coliseum.
badass because it was actually on Thanksgiving, which was what made it awesome.
Yeah.
Not this bullshit they do now. But anyway, back to Ultramantis Black.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying is, I've been trying to get him back at AIW for years and years and years. There was a time where his body was, he kind of wanted to retire. He only wanted to work for Chikara. Now I think he's entertaining the idea of getting out and traveling again. He's popping up on shows here and there on the East Coast. But I did recently have a face-to-face meeting with him to try to get him back to AIW once again. And nothing has been worked out. It's just kind of laying the groundwork or the foundation to say, hey, we would love to have you back.
All right. Well, speaking of other mysterious people, not Mike Tolar. This one, not much of a mystery per se, but according to fans, it is. Where's Steve Payne?
Before you answer that question, I can verify, in fact, that Mike Tolar is not Steve Payne. That much I can verify.
That we know.
Yeah, that we know.
All right. Still don't know where Mike Tolar is. If you have Mike Tolar's whereabouts, let us know.
Steve Payne is in California.
Okay. That's an easy answer.
He's at the House of Pain.
He is at the House of Pain training people.
He's probably the...
Spinner Boy and Finn Boy, hot prospect.
There you go.
I hate that you guys always put over the Spinner Boy guy.
All
you students have...
Josh Bishop wants them Back to the Future Cup next year.
People can't hear you. You don't even have a microphone. It's a podcast.
He's loud enough.
It's a podcast.
They can hear him. He's loud enough.
He just yells.
His Vancouver Grizzlies hat. I like that.
Steve Payne is in, there's, where do I even begin with Steve Payne? Well, one is in my nervousness of running the company all alone and trying to be more fiscally responsible.
I would encourage that.
Yeah, says my tax guy here, that he doesn't know that is my tax guy officially for the whole company.
Yeah, I'm really not looking forward to that.
It's just a big expense, first and foremost. He flies out of this little airport in California. It's very expensive. On top of that, Steve Payne, here's a shocker, also very expensive performance fee. He is good, but I don't necessarily know that people are going to come or not come based on that expense. And that is no offense to Steve Payne. It's just reality. And, I can't be doing a $600-700 flight, once a month, plus paying this guy to wrestle. I don't know that he's bringing in, a different fan base.
If you're spending up to $1,000, there's probably a better value you can get for your money.
Well, that's what I'm saying. On top of, there was a lot of just other things with Steve Payne, like, the missing the flight and having to buy a flight day of just to get him there. And, can you Western Union me some money? My rent is due. I'll make it up to you. Like, and then he gets to the show. Hey, I forgot my wallet. Can you get me some lunch? Just stuff like that just adds up and adds up and adds up.
Just tell him to go walk with the Laredo Kid and he'll end up with a hot and ready.
Hey, man, that's what I'm saying. But, while he is an extremely talented guy, it just boils down to I don't want to close this company just yet. I want to try to get it more on a financial stability track.
To go along with that, there's something you said there. It's a technical question, and from the promotion standpoint, you talked about not knowing if people would come or would not come. Is there a way for you to find out even vaguely if somebody like a regular roster member is more of a draw than others?
I mean, yes.
I would imagine that's hard.
Yes and no. Some guys, there's always you're getting like a bump, like a Colt Cabana. You always get extra people, or but other guys, while maybe they aren't necessarily a draw, they make up for that in talent, and they are nowhere near the expense as it is to bring in a Steve Payne.
Yeah.
So, it's like a really complicated science project that makes absolutely no sense anywhere other than in my brain.
As most things do,
or in any probably wrestling promoter's brain. There's guys that you need there that are they can do different roles and they're not gonna, you're not gonna go poor with them there. And there's guys that you do bring in to try to get, whether it's extra attention or try to draw more people in, or like we're doing a lot more meet and greets. Those obviously I really think work, and they really help bring in extra money, stuff like that.
Here's a follow-up question. We'll go rapid fire for you.
All right.
Have you ever guessed, like you said, it's yes or no, you're not really sure, it's kind of a guesstimate as to if they're going to, make money or draw, whatever. Have you ever guessed on someone and been completely wrong?
Yeah, I mean, there's not be completely wrong, but there's been things that we have booked and I go, oh man, this is going to be setting the world on fire, and it's just business as usual, like I really thought the Jody Fleisch
That's what I mean.
announcement-
If you guess and you go, either it's going to make the money back or it's going to be a huge thing and it just for whatever reason doesn't work.
That situation kind of happens. A lot of that experimenting happens at J-Lit. Like you think, like I had a very sneaking suspicion that Doug Gilbert was not going to work. However, Chandler Biggins really sold me on the fact that Doug Gilbert was going to work, and I got on board with it,
And
It did not work. I mean,
I could have told you that.
Actually, there were people that did specifically travel out for Doug Gilbert, but and you can't really blame Doug Gilbert because that was the Cavs going to the finals, LeBron's first year back.
right.
So that definitely contributed to it not working. But we do a lot of that experimenting typically at J-Lit, and some of it works, some of it doesn't work. Like Billy Gunn worked to an extent, but I thought it would be a lot bigger than it was.
I did too. But he was a cool dude, and he
was great. But like,
Vaping in the basement.
sometimes when you look at these fees and you go, yeah, that's a fair fee, and then but you expect it to just be way bigger, as like a turnout sort of thing,
On the flip side of that, have you ever, kind of like what we talked about, have you ever cut someone and be like, I think this will be okay, this isn't really going to make a difference, and it caught you off guard that so many people were like, bring this guy back, and then we're upset about it?
No, not really. Like, because even if people get upset about it, they usually don't stop coming.
They still come.
There's, no matter who it is, everybody there's somebody that wants that person back again. You know? So I don't really worry about that, unless it was like a massive, like, oh my God, like all of us are never ever coming again, which
right.
I don't think would ever happen. But yeah, I don't know. There's not a lot of like specific that I could go like, fuck, man, I thought that was going to be way, way, way bigger, and it wasn't. Like there were times like, and when we were really experimenting years ago, like with like the hot indie guys, we thought that it would lead to much bigger things than it actually did. But again, when you go back and watch some of those shows on Powerbomb.tv, like the stuff that was around those matches was not very good, like the rest of the show. So that probably had a lot more to do with it than anything else. But it's always like a different thought process and evolving kind of situation, I guess.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you of the thrift store jobber. He loaded the rocket fuel, he ate the elephants, he crapped out the dinosaurs, and then he found this shirt straight out of 1996. That's right, it's the Ultimate Warrior. Rainbow print, all over print, extra large. For you people that cannot eat your cookies, you must smell your cookies so that you can be the biggest, the strongest, and use promo code worldwide to get 10% off your order or any order from @thriftStoreJobber on Instagram and other places. Best left unknown.
This question was submitted. Somebody got confused, thought maybe we were going to do an AMA with you and the Duke, but it rolls into the end of what we talked about and who the Duke would want to face. He wanted to face you. I assume the feeling probably not very mutual, or at least not for the same reasons. But past or present, AIW or anywhere on the Indies, who do you want to face, or would you want to?
Nobody.
Is there anybody that you would be like, all right, I'll come out for this?
No, because I actually hate wrestling and performing as a whole. Like, I hated it.
What if it was on a barge?
Yeah.
If it was on a barge with you, with like,
No, I'm not saying me. If it was on a barge,
I think that's the
would
point.
that
If it
be
was on a
anybody,
barge,
or-
it would be anybody, I think, is what he's
trying to
saying.
figure out.
I
Is
mean,
me on the barge, or is it anybody on the barge?
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I've always really not been a super big fan of performing at all, or like thought highly enough of myself to be like, yeah, man, I want to fucking get in there with that guy, and like test it out, like that was never my thought process. Was always, I'm gonna wrestle and I'm gonna do this because I don't have to pay myself, and I think maybe some people will want to come see something like it,
Yeah.
like me do something really stupid, and it's not gonna cost us any more money,
Right.
So that was always my kind of thought process as far as being a wrestler. I was very realistic about like, I'm not really that good at this.
How about this scenario? Because, I mean, those are pretty much our big topics. We can do some rapid fire. I know bartender Nick Sanka's sitting here still, again, and
He's got way too many questions.
he's a big fan.
Ask.
But if you would Grado get you out of retirement, either a match against or as a tag team partner?
Grado?
Yeah.
No, absolutely
No?
not.
You wouldn't team with Grado.
No, 'cause
to
I would-
take-
I
I'm
would-
talking about two styles that don't mesh at all.
I know, but I just think it would be hilarious to watch.
He would be lost.
John Thorne and Grado versus the Duke and somebody.
No, I would feel so uncomfortable in that situation. Like, I hate, like, so that's, as shocking as this may sound, that's what I hate the most about performing is, like, everybody looking at me and, like,
Too many people could be watching that match.
well, it's just like, it's just such a weird feeling when, like, there's just all these people looking at you. Like, I hate it. And, like, to be in something with Grado to where it's, like, all, like, comedy and interacting and, like, I would hate that. I hate, that's why AIW has always had, like, a fictitious like owner or commissioner or any, because I don't
Right.
want to go out there and talk on the microphone. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do any of that. So Grado would definitely not be the guy. Like, would it be cool to like wrestle somebody like Terry Funk? Yeah, I'd probably do that.
It would not be cool. Not at all.
I was wondering why he wasn't
would-
on your list of people you want to have a match with.
I've already experienced way more than Terry Funk than I ever thought I would in my life, and I'm good.
I think
with that.
I think that I would probably be able to have something passable or good with Ethan Page, Eddie Kingston, and, as much as I hate to say it, the Duke probably, because I would feel comfortable with those people. I wouldn't care if I punched the Duke in the face that much. And he's going to pay for the barge for us to wrestle on and the pyrotechnics to go off for the exploding ring.
How about
I wouldn't pay for a pool noodle.
A pool noodle?
I would not pay for that, let alone a barge.
Oh, maybe we could do it in my parents' backyard in the pool,
On July 4th?
July 3rd. Yeah.
July 3rd? All right.
we need to get a Kickstarter going for this barge because the Duke's not going to throw down his triple threat match. Folks, start the Kickstarter right now. We need a barge. We need pyrotechnics.
That's what wrestler the GoFundMe isn't that what we're supposed to do when we
Or Kickstarter and GoFundMe. It's the same thing.
when
Yeah.
you want to do something and you can't pay
Yep.
for it yourself?
We need
You gotta have other
those.
people pay for it. Isn't that how it works, right? Nowadays. I'm not talking about wrestling. I'm talking about just in general. That's how it works, right?
On the barge is going to be the Duke versus John Thorne versus Terry Funk.
Oh,
You do that,
just
right?
threw another variable in there. I wasn't ready for, Steve.
But you would do it. You'd be ready. You'd do
Crossing
that.
up the variables here. I don't know.
You'd do that, wouldn't you?
What about it's me and the Duke
As a team?
and Eddie Kingston against Terry Funk and the Headhunters? I would do that.
yeah.
I would
I
do
would-
that.
What about the Funks?
Take my money now.
I don't want to fuck. I don't give a fuck about wrestling Dory Funk, dude.
He still goes. Motherfucker's 90 years old. He's
He
still
just
going.
doesn't. Duke just doesn't want to be
I'm
in
a
the
Terry
ring with the
Funk.
headhunters.
No, God, no.
I'm a Terry Funk guy. I'm not a Dory guy.
Oh,
The
yeah.
headhunters will fight for cigarettes.
Headhunter 2, man, he still hit me up for that singles run, dude.
If somebody
He got my phone number again recently.
if somebody throws down a GoFundMe with enough money for the barge, would you book Headhunter 2 to win the AIW Absolute title
No.
on the barge? Is that was why they
love
started the
that.
GoFundMe?
The Headhunters, when they booked him, whatever fucking show that was, I don't even remember.
Double
what show it
Dare.
was. Double Dare. Traxler hits their music, and it's playing for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You're freaking out. I'm sitting next to Traxler in the back. I'm like, fine, I go get him. I run downstairs, and one of them sitting there taping his wrist, in big circles. I go, the other one's like putting his boot, finish the tiniest boot.
We're on their time, brother.
And I'm like, guys, your music's playing. You got to go up. They're like, okay. The one guy stands up, and I'm thinking he's coming out, walks to the bathroom to use the bathroom, and I just gave up. I went upstairs. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. They'll come out eventually.
This podcast is led into what the people really wanted, which is more Headhunter talk.
Yeah, and then it takes them 5 minutes to get up the stairs.
Another reason why, as we discussed a few weeks ago, we have some hot water going on at Mount Carmel. Another adding factor to that was the headhunters who refused to go outside,
Smoking in the basement.
They were just smoking in the school.
Not vaping.
They can only go up. They can only go up those stairs so many times. Let's be honest.
They were just.
Hey, John, we got a problem, brother.
Guys? Those curvy boots get stuck on one of those stairs. They go right on their face.
Got a problem.
Yeah,
Those curvy boots are tricky, Dominic.
they
Dominic-
were.
Why
Dominic Guarini.
What's the name?
Dominic Guarini,
He loves yelling without a microphone.
he's doing a Headhunter's impersonation.
Body approach.
I didn't hear anything you said. I'm wearing the headphones. Not picking it up.
He's taking the weird body approach, he said.
So that is another contributing factor to the trouble with Mount Carmel is they were just firing up some camels right there in the school, just not caring.
Thanks for those of you who followed direction and showed up after 5 p.m. at Hell on Earth. Make sure you do so for
Every
our
show.
next show and every show after. And do not go into the gym class for third graders and
Say you're here for the show
sit
tonight.
here for the show.
And then sleep in a windowless white van in the parking lot.
Don't do that either.
Stocked with cameras.
What if the Headhunters had been the people to go into the gym asking for the show?
We would be out of business, man. That would be it. We would have no venue.
Saw that on the news. 6 o'clock.
Yeah, they would have been going to. They would have been going
to
to.
curvy boots show up to local elementary school.
They would have been going to the jail for the second time that weekend.
Hey, John, we got a problem, man.
We got a problem,
To
brother.
their credit, though, you got to give them credit for getting there.
I mean,
Well, they're professionals.
Yeah.
As noted.
I honestly, there are indie wrestlers that live 5 hours away that can't figure out a way to make it to the show. These fucking guys went to jail, missed their
Just one of them.
flights.
Just one of them, right?
Yeah, but still missed their flights, rebooked on their own, and got there by showtime. They live in Houston.
They felt they earned that cigarette for all that stuff they had to go through.
I mean,
That's a lot.
That's a thing. You know what I mean? Like,
That's a thing, all right.
Yeah.
good. Good on them. I just haven't brought it. It was a lot to deal with. I would love to bring them
Think
back.
about you brought them in as an attraction. There's really nothing you can do with them. I mean,
They want a title run.
everybody does.
I'll never forget, man. I probably told this story on the Headhunters podcast, but
Yes.
Headhunter 2 pulls me aside. He goes, "Hey, who's the world champion?" I said, "Oh, he's not here." He goes, "Oh, I would like to set up a storyline with him tonight, so I could be your world champion." And it's like, "Oh man, he's not here." And I'm thinking, thank fucking
in that
God.
story is potentially, because I've never heard Headhunter 2 speak,
Yeah.
a fantastic impression of Headhunter 2 right there by John Thorne.
No, it's pretty accurate.
Is it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Headhunter 2 versus Ultramantis Black.
so
Book it. Oh, here we go.
that is like one of his. We booked the head. So we do all these things to try to bring it full circle to the beginning. A lot of these in the Doug Gilbert thing as well.
Yeah.
A lot of this stuff is booked as Ultramantis bait that he does not take. So Doug Gilbert was booked strictly so he would be Nightmare Freddy on day 2.
Right.
And the plan was to do Nightmare Freddy versus Ultramantis Black because Ultramantis Black is a huge fan of Wing, the defunct Japanese promotion. So that was booked as Ultramantis bait. Colonel Robert Parker was booked as Ultramantis bait because he is also a huge Continental fan. He did not take the bait. The Headhunters were booked as Ultramantis bait, and he did not take that either.
Well, the Weird World was just recently booked on a show as Ultramantis bait.
No, they're
Didn't take
never,
that either.
They're never booked. Dominic was trying to talk finally on the microphone, and you ignored him.
He wanted to say the same thing.
Look at now he's mad. Now he's mad.
It's very emotional.
Say what you had to say. Say what you had to
Raging.
say.
I was gonna say the same thing Steve said about the Headhunters couldn't get him there, and Doug Gilbert couldn't get him there, but the Weird World could possibly get him there. You think?
It's possible, but all like now that we're talking about all these topics, it came to me that all those things were really booked as Ultramantis bait, and he did not take them. We were going to book him to wrestle the Headhunters. We were going to book him to wrestle Nightmare Freddy. We are going to do all these
Why are
things.
you trying so hard?
Because Ultramantis is now that is a guy that moves the
You know what? You know what would get him? Match on a barge.
He would do that.
I bet you he'd do that.
I will wrestle Ultramantis on the barge.
You'll wrestle Ultramantis on the barge.
Quick question:
Okay.
as we reference, we're watching 1988 Survivor Series while we do this. How close is 1988 Paul Roma to 2017 Paul Roma?
Looks exactly the same.
Exactly.
Actually, can I? 2017 Paul Roma also looks like 1998 Ken Shamrock, like almost to a freaking T.
Fair enough.
Yeah, because you saw him recently.
Yes, very recently, and I very
just
much
thought
thought it
I'd
might have been
equate
Ken
him to
Shamrock.
his own
No,
person,
yes,
but yeah.
yes, no. Paul Roma, barely aged, jacked.
Still pricey though. Still pricey.
So pricey.
Unless you book them students, and then he comes down quite a bit.
Yeah. Well. I
Paul
don't know.
Roma's got students?
Yeah, that was the deal.
I didn't know that.
He's got the most marketable man in wrestling, Richard Holiday.
I don't know who that is.
Exactly. No one does.
I don't either.
Apparently, he's not that marketable.
I think that was sarcasm.
Oh, smell that?
No.
Sarcasm.
That's his legit nickname.
No, I think you saying it was sarcasm.
No. That's his
Oh.
nickname.
Oh, that whole thing is his name.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. Quite the moniker.
To work on his marketing skills, then.
Yep.
If he's going to roll with that name, he's going to have to start doing something about that.
Yeah. Well, I think that pretty much we wind it down then. So if you would like to see Ultramantis Black back in AIW, it turns out also that your GoFundMe campaign would also get John Thorne wrestling again in AIW against Ultramantis Black. But you really got to aim high and get us on a barge. Right?
I think that should be like a Patreon exclusive.
Yeah.
know,
that's the only way you could see the match.
Yeah,
Too.
it's exactly. If you donate to our Patreon page,
Yeah. You could
Do
add
you
to
have
the
a Patreon page?
Yeah.
Sure do.
Yeah. You could add to the whole $4 a month that it brings in.
What is that? What, I don't even know what that is. What is
Yeah,
it?
people just give you money for projects.
And then you're supposed to give them stuff back for it. It's similar to the other
So
things.
it's like GoFundMe or whatever?
Yeah, but it's like an
Kickstarter?
ongoing monthly thing instead.
It's like a support thing instead of like a.
yeah, like you pay
Oh,
for like
recurring.
Yeah, it's like a
thing?
subscription, so to
Give you
speak.
$5 a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just because we like what you do, stuff like that.
I got you.
Yeah. All right, last question that was asked, and then we'll wrap this one up. But
another mistaken email question.
yeah, this was another mistaken email. Why do you think AIW has stood the test of time as compared to other Cleveland wrestling promotions?
Well, Duke, I'll let you field this one first since we put your company out of the business first.
See, what you didn't hear right there off microphone is making sure we ask this question, because apparently that whole thing was just a setup for Thorne to say that. So congratulations on getting that out, by the way. Good move.
Remember that time you bitched out against Thorne?
Yeah, fucking still.
Whatever. I'm the one saying I'll wrestle him this year, and he's like, "Oh, it's got to be in a floating metal structure for me to do it."
Hey, man, I got my terms.
Whatever, man. No terms. I don't know. I guess but you can't make that statement, because if you ask the people that are in those other companies, they'll tell you they've been around for 20 years and they're doing it for the fans, and they're successful at O'Leary's Tools or whatever, wherever they run shows in the parking lot. So I mean,
Okay.
it's all perspective, I guess. I mean, obviously they're the most successful, but if those people would probably say we're great because we've been around forever too.
I think that it's stood the test of time because I'm an idiot, honestly, and I won't let it, like I won't let it fail. I'm too I have too much of, I don't know, pride or whatever you want to call it, to let it fail. And you know, like I'm a fan of wrestling. I'm a fan of independent wrestling, so I try to, you know, I think that shines through with AIW. I think people, you know, we're not like, you know, these like this big giant like corporation or something, you know, like,
Yeah.
I think people see it as, you know, if I was a fan of wrestling, this is how I would try to do it. And that's kind of what we try. That's kind of what we always tried to aim to do, even though it didn't always necessarily work out that way. That was always kind of the plan, was to always kind of be like wrestling, like by fans, for fans. And, you know, it just, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, you know, but like, ultimately I think it's because I also, you know, I care way too much about really dumb things, and a lot of you guys that are now tasked with having to hear all of my OCD ideas and different things. I think you guys probably can comment to that a little more, but
It's constant messaging. What do you guys think of this? What do you think of this? It's like the brain doesn't stop for you, pretty much.
You know, before that would just be me and Biggins going back and forth.
Yeah.
Till, you know, all hours of the night, or, you know, when I was sleeping, he was thinking of ideas, and when I would wake up, I would, you know, go through his ideas, and then, you know, it was just a never-ending thing of, you know, like, I never want to get to like that like feeling of just being complacent and just being like, hey man, you know, this is what I do. I don't care. You know, like, I'm just doing this, and now, you know, I'm going to go do this, and I'm going to go do this, and I have this hobby, and I have this thing to do, and, you know, this is it. You know, I like, this is my whole world other than having a real job. So I really think that's that probably contributes to it quite a bit. But yeah, my brain just never fucking stops. That is probably, I don't know, not a healthy thing sometimes.
Well, there you go, folks. That's going to do it for this edition of AIW's The Card is Going to Change. Hopefully you enjoyed it, had a great time with it. On behalf of AIW owner John Thorne, the Duke, Dominic Carini, my name is Steve Guy.
Still off mic. Why don't you yell one last time, Dom? Come on.
Let's hear it.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah, there it is.
There you go. We'll talk to you guys next week.